Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scottish Women's Initiative webinar. I'm delighted to be here. I'm an alumni, and it's nice to come back to an energetic group and to see the initiative doing so well. Uh, we have a wonderful topic for the webinar today, and something I can totally say as an entrepreneur. Whichever stage of the company you are in, you will be forever be investing a lot of time in building your teams. So we are here to talk about how to create the dream team and lead. Uh, all you wonderful entrepreneurs, congratulations! You are in a beautiful place, and you're part of the wonderful initiative, the Cartier Women's Initiative. And I wish you all the best as you sort of go forward with the initiative and become part of this lifelong journey. Once you're at Cartier, you're always an alumni. This is a family. It's a great community to be a part of. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here. And what I would like to do is hear a little bit about you so that everyone gets to know, quickly about you and your company and what are you trying to achieve. And then we jump on to the topic of the discussion today. And we would like to make this very, very interactive, where each one of you brings in your experience of building your company, building your startup, building teams, co-founders, a whole lot of complexity there, but it also a whole lot of fun and something very, very relevant to every entrepreneur in the room. So welcome all, and very happy to have you with us. And why don't we go with a round of introductions so that everybody knows? Zineb, would you like to go?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Zineb, the CEO and co-founder of Ezygain, a startup based in Paris, and we develop a connected device for rehabilitation of working abilities. So we make it easier for people who can't work to work safely. Um, and so I will let Tatiana present herself and the company.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Tatiana Pimenta. I'm founder of Vittude, a Brazilian marketplace that connects psychologists and patients. And my vision for the company is that we become a global mental health care provider globally. And then, that's it, girls.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's have Priya introduce herself, please.
Hello, my name is Priya Prakash. I am the founder and CEO of HealthSetGo, and I'm from India. And HealthSetGo is an organization that works with thousands of children in India in schools to inculcate healthy habits in children from a young age so that they can grow up to be healthy adults. And what we are working towards is a healthier planet which is free of disease. And that's our goal and our vision. I would now like to hand it over to Marcela to introduce herself.
Thank you. My name is Marcela. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Hola. We have an integration solution for forced migrants. We work with returnees, refugees, and deportees from the United States to Mexico. We work with education and technology, access to employment and technology, and financial inclusion. And our vision is to change the way forced migrants are perceived across the world and to be able to provide and expand this integrated solution, not just to Latin America, but to the rest of the world. And Liza, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Marcela. Hi, everyone. I'm Liza Velarde. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Delee. Delee, we are a medical devices company who develop a blood test for isolation of cancer cells. So we want this technology to be available to whole the world for early cancer detection and also to monitoring the effectiveness of the treatment and disseminate a personalized treatment for all cancer patients and help them get care. Hi.
Amazing. Thank you for that. All right, we have Tracy who's just joined in. Hi, Tracy. We're introducing ourselves. And why don't you quickly make an introduction so that everybody gets to know you as well?
Thank you so much, Sue. So I'm Tracy O'Rourke from Ireland, and I am the CEO and founder of Vivid Edge. And at Vivid Edge, we're helping climate change. And what we're doing is we're helping large multinationals reduce their carbon footprint with energy efficiency as a service model, and it helps them do so much more than their capital budgets allow. And we just look after building upgrades, and we charge them a service fee that is more than covered by the energy savings. So it's a very clever way of tapping into wasted energy to fund, ultimately to fund improvements to carbon footprint and ultimately help climate change. So that's what we do.
Wonderful. I love the range of businesses on the table. I love the impact that you ladies are generating, and I can totally imagine that you need to build great, stronger organizations to achieve these big goals that you've set out for yourself. So I'm going to set up the conversation with something that I always get asked, which is co-founders. So I'm a single founder, but Liza, let me begin by asking you, do you have a co-founder? And if so, how did you find them? And did you have like a selection criteria? How did it go?
Thank you. Yes, we are a group of 3 co-founders. One of them is a physicist, and the other one is a biomedical engineering. So they actually invited me to join them when they introduced the possibility to actually help people with cancer by isolating cancer cells. And I was like, okay, this sounds like science fiction, but let's do it because it is a really good way to actually help people and do it a really good work. So we started back in 2012. We get to know each other in an entrepreneurial class, and we have been together since then. And right now we have grown to the team to 18 people, and we're now in clinical trials. So in order for us to get a relationship that lasts that long, it wasn't that easy. But we managed to work it together with dialogue and conversation and to trust each other. It's mostly about trust.
I can totally imagine. Tatiana, what about you? What do you feel about the same? Tatiana, are you there?
I didn't unmute my microphone, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I have a co-founder. Everton and I, we are friends from a long time, and we both share some issues concerning mental health. He had a burnout and I had depression in the past, so we experienced some issues when looking for a psychologist and looking for treatment, and this made us be decided to start something to help people to find a psychologist. And one thing that, in my opinion, is really important is that when looking to a co-founder, we have to understand if the co-founder or the person that you want to become your partner, if he or she have skills that are complementary to yours. In our case, Everton is a really talented guy for finance and operations. He's the great COO of Vittude, and I have some skills related to communication. So I'm the one that talks to investors, that presents Vittude to media, and do all the things related to people. And he is the guy that stays in the office, doing everything and making things happen. And one thing is important because we started a startup, and what I miss is that I didn't look for a CTO as a co-founder in the beginning. We decided to hire a software house, and this was a huge mistake in the very beginning. Now we did a vesting contract to a guy that's going to be our CTO. But if I had looked for it in the past, it would be very better for us. That's it.
Interesting. I think it's an interesting problem to solve, and something that we all end up sort of, it's a question, around, especially at early stage, whether you outsource it or you do it yourself. But as I move forward in my own journey, I learned that owning your product at an early stage is always a great idea. It's more difficult, but it's something we learn along the way. Tracy, coming to you, how's it been for you, and on early teens and co-founders?
So what I was bringing a model that I had come across in financial services and aircraft leasing to a new sector, energy efficiency. And I knew nobody in this sector and knew nothing about it. I was just interested in it. So I had to immerse myself in this new sector, attending seminars and meeting advisors. And I just really spent a whole year, getting to know this sector, a huge amount of research. And during that time, I was introduced to my two co-founders. Emer was introduced to me through KPMG, who are my advisors. And then Emer is our chief financial officer, and she's fantastic. She has a huge amount of energy. I actually feel that the cultural fit is so important, and values. So Emer shares with me a passion for doing something worthwhile, as well as building a commercial organization. We wanted to do both. She has oodles of integrity. She's flexible. She's imaginative. All of these things that I felt I wanted, a positive, upbeat person. And then I also got introduced to Paul, and also passionate about energy efficiency. He really understands this sector. He's our engineer and our engineering expert. And, both of them have become dear friends. I didn't know either of them before, unlike some of the other ladies who had, lifelong friendships, or people who they knew for a while and trusted. But, you get a feel for a person when you meet them, and maybe it's an intuition or an instinct. But for me, I wanted them to share my passion, my values, people who I knew we could go through all the ups and downs with, because it's like a roller coaster in an early stage business. So you need people who you feel you can go through the tough times with. So for me, so much was about belief and values and just a similar mindset, and the skill sets were almost secondary. Obviously I needed an engineer and I wanted a CFO, but yeah, it was about fit. I'm sure that'll resonate with everybody. That was so important for us. So, yeah.
I think it totally resonates when you say that the value system of the founding team needs to be very, very close together. I think that's what sort of pulls people apart as different life stages of a company emerges, and there are difficult decisions to make. There are always difficult decisions to make. Liza, I'm going to pop the next question, stemming from what Tracy just shared with us around conflicts and co-founder conflicts and scaling up team issues, senior leadership relationship issues. How do you manage that?
How do I manage conflicts?
Yeah.
Or how? Okay. Well, first of all, the most reason that startup fails is because conflicts with co-founders, right? So the main issue is communication and trust. You need to get, even if you're really angry with with your co-founder that you want to kill her, or I don't know, you really need to know that everyone wants the same thing. Everyone wants the company to succeed. So even if one has another strong point of view that is different from you, you need to really cool down, take it off, put your ego aside, and then think what's better for the company. How can I really make it grow? How can I make it a really strong company? Because at the end of the day, you are the company. You as a co-founder, you are the soul of your company. So you really need to work together. You need to trust that your co-founders is also doing what they think is the best for the company. And when you find something that is not right, try to discuss it in private and then move on to apply it.
I think that's wonderful advice. Reprimand in private and share, manage, share credit in public. I think something that's easier said than done, because when we are in the middle of busy days and difficult days, we sometimes forget these small things. But I guess that's how companies get built. You don't come back. You don't grow up with this knowledge. As you build your companies, these things emerge every single day. I want to talk a little bit about some of the mistakes we all have made. So whether it is hiring the non-cultural fit, or hiring somebody who's very, very big in the industry, hiring for names and influence versus the right fit. Zineb, are there any hiring mistakes you've made? And how's that turned out for you?
Yeah, so last year we've had a business profile. He was in paper. He was really excellent in paper. And when he came to the interview, he was like, "I'm joining a startup with a startup mood. People think that it's cool and fun, and they don't see the hard parts of working in a startup, because we are a small team, so we need to work hard and be serious." And I think a mistake we've done is that I didn't call precedent employers. I think it's really, really important to call precedent employers to see and check if this person is good, okay, if there are any personal problems with the precedent teams. And yeah, if I have any advice to give, is to call employers before hiring the person.
Hiring the person. Brilliant advice. Tatiana, what would you like to say about that? Have you had a similar experience?
Yes, really similar. And I learned a lot. Last year, I hired a marketing analyst, and that she was a referral from a friend. And I believe that because it was an indication by a person that I trusted, my filters were softened. I was slow to see the problem that this person was causing to the company. She stayed with us almost 1 year, 10 months. And in fact, this thing was only clear when we did a team building activity at acceleration program and Facebook when we were from August to December. And in an activity, she said that she didn't like people. And we work with people. How could I have a person with this feeling and total disconnection with the values that we believe in Vittude? And when I decided to fire her, she quit herself in the same month. So it was at least good, because we had a lot of taxes here in Brazil when we fire someone. But I didn't realize that the evil was already done, because the whole staff was contaminated. And I had to fire 3 guys, and the other ones asked to quit also. So I have almost a 100% turnover in 3 months. It was really bad for us, but I learned a lot, because I understand that I have to fire fast when I understand that this person or this employee doesn't fit with our values. And one thing is that I have to not trust only in the recommendation, but look if people that we are interviewing have the fit we want, if they have the values that the company share, and look for their moment of life. As Zineb said, we have a lot of hard work when working in a startups, not the beautiful thing. Also, we have to work hard because we have a small team. So people who want to work at a startup should understand this. And this is my advice: fire fast and hire low.
I think it's brilliant advice. And I don't know one entrepreneur who's not gone through the cycle of making hiring mistakes. I know and this brings us to our own leadership skills, because there are times when we question it. Priya, I'm going to ask you about what do you think are the leadership skills that entrepreneurs need when they're building their teams up, and how do you challenge yourself to sort of at least not repeat your mistakes, even if you make them once.
For me, hiring leadership skills are the best skills that we should develop.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I have to develop a skill that's hire people better than me. So look for people that have other qualities, better skills, that want to, and the ability to keep them motivated to help me scaling the company. So hiring and know how to hire the correct people is for sure a skill that everybody has.
Yeah. Priya, Priya, you want to add to that? What do you think about leadership skills as an entrepreneur, and how do you build build yourself up, for the next challenge? Priya?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Sorry, like I was on mute. So, so I think the first skill that as an entrepreneur I need to have is, first of all, to believe in myself before I start leading other people. I think there are many moments, and I'm a sole founder, so there are many moments that are full of self-doubt, that you might struggle, that you might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you might feel like giving up. But then you just need to walk in every day with the same attitude, no matter how bad that day is. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have more hard days than easy days. To walk into your team and still smile at them and motivate them and communicate the vision that you have. So one thing that I constantly do is whenever somebody walks into my room or is interacting with me, I always try to communicate my enthusiasm and passion. Because that is, I think, my strongest point, that I can do that. Because not all employees that you have will be feeling the same way as you about your company. I mean, I feel a certain way about health, and I feel a certain way about making an impact. But the fact is that most people working in our companies might not feel the same passion. So one really important thing as a leader, I feel, is to communicate the passion and vision. And then I think through the communication and belief in the vision, another skill that an entrepreneur and leader should have is to be persistent. A lot of people ask me after 2 years, Priya, are you still running this company? Like, didn't you think of doing something else? Like, are you still in the game? Are you still doing this? And I said, yeah, I'm still doing this, and I want to do this for the next 100 years if I can, for the rest of my life. I think we just have to be persistent, because I mean, these are the two main skills that I would like to say.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Marcela, it's your turn to share. What do you think of entrepreneurial skills, the leadership skills an entrepreneur needs to have?
I don't know. I mean, I personally didn't ever think about building a company, and in overall, I don't know. I just think it's like you have to be able to sort of like develop the skills on the go. For Hola Code's perspective, we have this motto that says talent is everywhere, but opportunities are not. And that's how we envision our students. And I think that's the same way we treat ourselves. Like, we've never hired anyone that meets all the criteria, but we think, oh, they have potential to learn this. So I think for me, the most important skill would be be able to learn. And I'm very open with my team. I always tell them, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to do this. And I think being super open and honest about what you don't know and like what you want to learn, it's very relevant. I don't know. I think being very, very honest about your capabilities. It's like we do tend to take on a little bit more work than we should. And we just have to realize that sometimes we can't.
And very well said, because I think some of the best entrepreneurs they're quite honest and humble about who they are, and they use their strength, but they also have very steep learning curves. They pick up very fast. But super. So I think, yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that. Tracy, I'm going to come back to you about what do you look for when you are hiring? What are your non-negotiables? What excites you about a candidate? And what are the 4 or 5 things that you're evaluating when you're building this up, and maybe for different stages?
Yeah, so for me, it's probably similarly touching on what I was looking for when we brought our co-founders on board. So it has to be a positive attitude, and I really love what Priya said just there about the energy and the passion and the vision, because I do really think. So the leader needs the vision, and you need to have people coming out, and like I really feel that as well about having to put the energy in the room. And my co-founders say we feed off your energy, so if I'm not full on, it's where's your energy? We need to feed off it. But so you want a team who's going to respond to that, and it's about people who who you feel will be excited to join your journey with you. I think my CFO and I also, but she really believes strongly in doing these, the psychometric tests you do, the personality profiles, and people use them as a tool. But the single most important thing we have decided is to have somebody with a positive outlook, somebody who will see the glass half full, not the glass half empty. And we talked here about how a bad apple in a team can have an impact on the whole team. You cannot let a bad apple in, and in my mind that translates to somebody who will see the negative side of a situation. So I think if you only ever did one test, is this person a negative or a positive person in their outlook? And we only want to get people who will be prepared to see the positive. And I think that's a good way to find the good apples. Otherwise, you need flexibility. Some people are terribly rigid, and there's no room for that on an entrepreneurial journey. We don't know. We know where we're going. We have no idea how we're getting there. And if we think we do, we're probably wrong. So we cannot set out a clear path for our team coming in, and we cannot set out clear roles. It's blurred. So we need people who are comfortable in that environment, people who are flexible, and people who are prepared for a bumpy ride, actually. And what you give them in advance is something that's exciting, a passion, a vision, and that's very important that we give that, I think, as leaders. So I think they're terribly intertwined, what the leader brings and then what the skills the person needs coming in. They have to connect. So yeah, that's what I think.
Super. I'm hearing a lot of passion. I'm hearing a lot of soft skills, if you will, a lot of personality types. Tatiana, is that how you feel as well? Is that your experience as well? Or do you look at hardcore traits, the depth of skills or the industry they come in from? What's your perspective?
And one thing that I look today is if people want to learn and how they lead with the idea of learning new things, because we are doing something so new that we need to understand that we have to learn every day. So what I look for today is if people have bright in the eyes and they have that desire to make something different, and if they have the desire to make a difference in their country, and if they want to build a startup and help me scaling this. It's more about if they want to learn.
Super. Adaptability and learnability. Zineb, what's your perspective here? What's your experience been like in both hiring candidates and as well as building this piece up?
Yeah, I love people who come to the interview and just show passion. They love the project, not only the fact that they are doing development, IT development, business development, other things, but loving the project, because in every day there are hard times, and people need to be passionate to overcome these hard times and to make the project bigger and more important. And what Priya said earlier was very true, is that we as leaders need to have a big smile wherever is the situation and whatever are the problems. So just hire people with patience, serious, and honesty. Honesty is very important, and if they have flaws, they will learn and grow. But be honest and passionate.
Very well said. I think the simplest things are the hardest, and it's amazing when you find people who are authentic and who are great energy fit for your teams. I have benefited a lot, having team members who pick you up, who add to the energy of your company. This brings me to the culture question, something again very hard to articulate, but very, very important as companies get built. And I don't know a single company which sort of doesn't sort of dabble in trying to find a culture fit for themselves. Marcela, how do you build culture? How do you sort of define the culture? How do you build talent and culture together?
Well, I think this builds up very perfectly with what everyone said. Like, it's really hard to find the right people. And then when you find them, like, how do you retain them? But I think part of it is like when you hire them, like based on like what a lot of like my colleagues that said, it's like when you have like a very shared vision, it's a little bit easier to build on. So for Hola Code's perspective, so I think a lot of people resonates with the mission that we work with, because we work with forced migration, and a lot of people feel empathy, feel like they want to do something, and they feel a little bit helpless about the subject. And by joining us, they feel like they can be part of the conversation and be part of the change. But how do you ensure that like it's not just like being part of the conversation and being part of the change is sufficient? So we've built a lot of different tools and resources in Hola Code to ensure that our culture is built. And we're, like everyone's saying, you're doing something unique and you're starting from scratch. So how do you do it? And I think a huge thing for us has been that we have a very diverse team. We have tech mentors from San Francisco, from Kenya, from all over the world. We have people with 2-3 different cultural identities. So we try to celebrate all of their different, important, relevant days. We also have mental health days off, like no questions asked. We also have to take care of ourselves a lot, because we are in a line of work in which we're facing directly our community. We're working directly with the students, and we get to see their ups and downs. When a student drops out the program, we get crushed. Like we're putting all of our hearts in this person to be successful, and then they don't make it to the end line. So it really hits us. So we have created retreats, we have created spaces, all of these, so that people can take some time off and like celebrate a little bit of like what we have accomplished, because we're always in a very, very fast clock. Like, oh, we need to meet this quarter, we need to meet this goal, we need to have this much students, we need to have this much graduation, we need to have all this like software projects delivered. And like we forget about the small wins, like, oh yeah, we showed up today to the office and we're not bankrupt, so yay. Like, I mean, like we're still here. So it's all about like sort of like celebrating the small things, ensuring that everyone gets celebrated properly, and like creating the right mechanisms for people to just thrive and allow them to grow. I think that's super important.
I think it's the most understated, most powerful aspect of building a company up, especially for scale. When you're at your IPO bell, then I think it's culture that gets you there. Liza, you wanted to add something to this.
Yes, just a quick tip. When you're hiring someone and you want to retain them, the first hire, you always have to look for needs. What does that mean? You have to find people that is much like you. So they share the same values and they share the same passion about your company. And the way that you can find it into the interview, you feel that connection with the person. go ahead and give it a try. The hard skills can be learned, but the soft skills are easy to learn. So that's why I focus on finding mini use as a co-founder, as a founders.
Brilliantly shared, and I think that's what keeps companies going, during tough times, during growth periods, and so on and so forth. Tracy, this is something you value as well, something that you've been working on. Share your experience with us, please.
No, absolutely. So, first of all, on a personal level, very similar themes. I wanted to build a company where myself and my team could absolutely thrive, both personally and professionally. And I really, I love to see the views in the room of the other ladies, because really prioritizing mental health. And, I never make a big deal if somebody makes a mistake, because I actually put my energy into collaborating with them to solve the mistake. And we all are going to make mistakes on a journey like this. No blame. And again, if somebody needs time off, really supportive, because, we definitely want to have an environment where people actually look forward to coming in and where it's a safe environment. And I think people thrive and they're really creative when you can set that climate, and that's really important. I think then looking at the overall culture, I wanted to create something. We're selling into large multinationals, and I worked in large multinationals for most of my life, and then I also worked in some early stage startups more recently, and I wanted a blend. So I love the professionalism of the large multinationals, and I want us to be absolutely professional, to really have exceptionally high standards in everything that we produce. So our pitches, and just a very, very high quality engagement model with large organizations. I want to do that as well as the big guys. But on the other hand, I wanted agility and I wanted innovation. And there we were taking a leaf out of some of the smaller companies' books. And I actually was really fortunate to work for one. I worked for a couple of, advised a couple of early stage companies that didn't quite have the professionalism of the large companies I've worked for. And I said, no, I want the professionalism. And then I worked for an amazing high growth startup that was really, really well run, but it had agility and it was innovative and it was exciting. And it was great to be part of that, because I thought that's what I want Vivid Edge to be. I want us to be high caliber, and all of the values, the integrity, the trust that comes often with well-established multinationals, but agility and innovation and creativity as well. So we're kind of blending that, and it's actually working really well. And it's just been clear on where you're going to follow the traditional recipe and where you can be a little bit different. So our culture is a blend of the best of both, I like to think. And then also we're trying to create a place that's just where people can thrive, where I can thrive, and where people can blend their family lives and their work life as much as they need to, and that the team feel the same. So I think it's really important to get that right. And that was a huge part of my personal vision. I wanted to create a place like that, so I could work in it, and everyone else can work there too. So yeah.
I love that the term you used, thrive. I think it's a very nourishing perspective, and building your own playbook, the big company, the small company, build your own blend of culture. I think and the most incredible companies out there have done it their own way. There's no formula out there. Tatiana, you wanted to add something to this?
Just a quick add. For me, culture is related to example. So if you want to build a culture, you have to be an example for your team. For me, it's crucial. And you have to give some freedom and ownership for them to build and to innovate. So you have to encourage them to be bold and to enhance ways to try and error and do again. So this ownership and this freedom is really important for them to try and make things different.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think this is a really extensive question, and I think we can spend like a whole day talking about it. But I want to come to something a little more tactical, which is, I think as entrepreneurs, we are self-motivated. We are persistent. We understand the game better, but people come into your company with very different perspectives, very different life stages, and very different form of engagement, given where they are in their careers. How do you keep your teams motivated? How do you keep that energy going up? How do you keep them to keep moving forward? Because if your people don't grow, your company doesn't grow. Priya, do you have a perspective you want to share on that?
Yes.
And you're in a difficult business because...
Yes, exactly. So the nature of our work is actually quite difficult, and it's not only about that. When you said people from different backgrounds, I think we also have people from different age groups. So I happen to be in somewhere in the on the younger side of my company. I would like to say there are people way older than me, who work in my organization, and they share totally different outlooks in life, and they might or might not, gel with other teams the same way. Like our tech team is very young, but our operations team is quite on the older side. So I feel like in an organization which is growing, we currently have about 27 employees. Next year, we actually aim to hit 61 employees, which is something that I can't even imagine right now. But how do I keep this team together, and how do I keep this team motivated? I think last year, one amazing thing that we started were monthly town halls. And this is something that, I would like to share as a really good tool that I had, constituted, because a lot of times I'm traveling. A lot of times I am out there pitching to clients, talking about my organization. Even I'm not there in the office all the time. My operations team is traveling the whole time. They're not there in office. The tech team doesn't know what's going on. In the finance team, it's people just go into their own silos during the month, and they don't end up interacting with each other that much. So a town hall every month, I think, is very motivating. People get to, interact with each other. I make sure I am always there. And I spend the first half just talking about everything we've achieved. So that really motivates the company. A lot of times that I go and I represent myself in any forum. We just got selected for Cartier, so people were super motivated by that. And, people want to feel like they're going somewhere, and they're going somewhere together. So I think those town halls really, really are a part of the calendar. Each town hall, there is one team that takes control of the town hall. So we have, the operations team doing the town hall, or the tech team doing the town hall, or, one of our other teams. So that gives people the sense of ownership, a date that they can look forward to, a time we can all come together and motivate each other. So I think that has been something that's really, really worked out for me in my organization as the team grows.
Wonderful. I think getting everyone together under the same roof, having an all hands, is just a big booster. And I guess people get a little perspective about what everyone's pulling together. I'm a big fan of that. Zineb, you wanted to add something to this?
Yes, just in place of team events, I need to keep people motivated. They need to do interesting things. So make them work in interesting things, and also make them see what impact do their work have on the world. So, for example, for us, we have IT developers who develop an app for patients who need rehabilitation, and sometimes they go and see patients using the app. And it's very important not to separate business teams and the development teams, and make everyone see the impact he has. He really has. I think it's very important.
So I just wanted to add something.
Yes.
So like you said right now, Zineb, that you have to make them do interesting things. So I'm also a fitness trainer. I've learned how to do a lot of weightlifting and fitness activities. So sometimes my team really hates me, but I make them all work out together, or I make them all do something that kind of makes them sweat together, but that also makes them really bond with each other. And since we're a health company, once a month, I like to incorporate the health piece as well. So that's something that really bonds them.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. That's a great idea. And maybe I'm going to try something like that with my team. Don't tell them yet. Marcela, what's your experience been like? What are the tools and tips that you've been using in your company?
Well, I think like one thing that we do have to be very honest is like in an early stage of a startup, anyone that joins your team is taking a huge risk. Like especially because we have a lot of developers, software engineers, and they could be earning 5 times what they're earning in a startup. So we can talk about like how you can give them like parts of your company or different economic incentives that are in plenty of books. But I think like a very interesting thing to do is like literally think about why is someone joining your company, and besides the mission, because I think Holacode's mission resonates to a lot of people that joins the team. That's the initial step. But then what is it that they want to do? Where do they want to grow? And like one of the cool things that we do is that because we're new, you know, we're like a year and a half, well, a little bit less, but there's a lot of areas to be grown and being created in the company. So we allow people to sort of like start creating their own job feature description and like, what do you want to do? And like, how are you going to get there? And like, what sort of training do you need? So we provide it, and like we ensure that people are earning the right skill set. So we're always like allowing people to just do like a lot of things that they want to do, because, you know, a lot of them are not going to stay with us forever, and that's acceptable. If they want to go do an MBA, they want to start their own company, I'm going to be super happy. I want to ensure the time that they spend with us, like they were learning something and they were growing, and then we were growing together. So we're very open about this sort of thing. I think like the Holacode culture is very sort of like informal. So we're not very strict about things. So like people are very comfortable about making mistakes and very open, and we just discuss it. And like there's a rule in the team in which we have to ask for help for someone at least 3 times a week. So I think that's something that is very relevant. And like people force themselves to just like ask for help, even if they don't need it, we force them. So they just get into the habit of it. And also it's just like a really fun place to work at. Like we have Friday margaritas. And I know that sounds like, oh, you just get drunk at work on Friday, but I don't think it's about that. It's like, you know, someone in our team used to be a bartender and she loves creating drinks. And like we just do this like small space in which instead of going through our Excel spreadsheets or these like lines of code on a Friday night that are super heavy, we just like hang out, do it for a little bit chilled, and we meet our goals in a more relaxed and fun way. And people feel like it's not as stressful, it's not as horrible. And it can be reflected, like, you know, every time I go and do a pitch with investors, like my team sends me text messages and they say like, oh, please get some money so we can keep doing what we're doing, because like we don't want to lose our jobs. So I think making it fun is a huge thing. Like I love to come to work, but you know, it's my company, so I can easily say that. But like I want to make sure that everyone else that comes to work has the same experience, even if they're just going to be with us for 5 months. That's okay. Like they should love their time in Holacode. And we're not like sort of like holding on and making sure they never leave us. Like if they thrive, they're thriving with us, so that's fine. That's fine.
That sounds really exciting, and I think we all want to come to a happy workplace, but we also want to do good work. I think yeah, it's brilliant, and I know I'm going to sort of play a little bit of devil's advocate here, though. I think one of the challenges. I built my first company when I was 21, and I was very young and hiring people who were much older than me, and mostly men. And a lot of people would always think that, you know, maybe there's another boss who's going to come and interview them. Priya, you're also a pretty young entrepreneur. Have you faced any stereotypes, or has there ever been a pushback when you're sort of either, you know, building your team or going and talking to customers, or, you know, any of those things?
It's so funny to hear you say that you had that experience, because I had the exact same experience. I've had people walking into interviews and literally having no filter on what they say and just saying, oh, I expected you to be much older. Or oh, who else is coming for the interview? That sometimes they just don't believe that me as a woman, or me as, more importantly, a young woman, can actually run a company. I think coming from a country like India, and I think India has made tremendous progress in standing up for women, but there's still a lot of stereotyping deep within our system. And so whenever I go, and the people I deal with governments. I'm predominantly walking into a room full of men, and these are older men, 50 plus. They're not used to seeing a young 27-year-old girl walk in and tell them how to run their city's healthcare program. But I mean, I used to be so intimidated by this whole process, and I think I applied those stereotypes to myself initially. I used to feel very intimidated. I always felt like when I was going for an important meeting, I had to have a male colleague with me just to make me seem more substantial. And then I think after I really started, believing in myself and what I was doing, I stopped feeling that way. And now I walk in everywhere with confidence. I'm just, when people look at me and they see how I am talking about myself and my company, I think they stop thinking that way as well. When you are projecting stereotype on yourself, that is when other people look at you with that stereotype. The moment you're a person and you go and you say what you need to say, I think people stop discriminating whether you're a woman or a man. They listen to the content of what you speak. And as a woman, that's been very empowering for me to believe in myself. And the more people see young women starting businesses in India and even across the world, all of you, I think with this webinar as well, we are breaking stereotypes and we are setting a huge example. So congratulations to all of us for doing this. It's very required.
Very well said. I used to wear fake glasses to look serious in meetings, when I was much younger, and now I need to wear them for real, and I don't. So listen, ladies, I think we're almost at the end of this. Before we wrap up, I'd like you guys to share one quick tip, a Twitter-style tip, which you would like other people, other entrepreneurs who are building great companies, who are thinking about, building great teams, winning teams. What would that one tip be? And let's start with you, Zineb.
Yeah, just spread energy to the team and make every single one grow in your team, because you're in the same boat, so you need to be well accompanied.
Beautiful. Tracy.
Yeah, I think have a vision of the environments that you want to create, a really clear vision. What does it feel like to work there when you come in the morning, and all of the attributes that you would want in a thriving team. I think diversity is really important. And then, when you're building the team, how well do these people connect with that vision? So it has to start with the vision, I think.
All right, thank you. Very well said. The vision it is. Tatiana.
Hey, my tip, especially for the women, it's believe in yourself. Sometimes we don't believe in us, and be resilient, because we are not in a sprinting. It's almost close to a marathon than a sprint. So believe in yourself and be resilient.
Keep going. Stay healthy. Priya.
Yeah, my tip for building a winning startup team would be that find people who believe in your dream, or make people believe in your dream. They all go hand in hand. But the moment everybody has a purpose, I think you're going to have a winning startup team.
Beautiful. Marcela, let's hear it from you.
I would say be very honest and be transparent about who you are, because I heard a lot about some of my colleagues talking about you have to inject the energy, and you're the energy, but I don't have that energy all the time. So I do tell them hey, I'm feeling really low, or I'm feeling really down, or what's going. I am super transparent and very honest about who I am and what are my capabilities. And I think like people respect that a lot, because like, especially women, we're supposed to do all of these different things, and on top of that, like, look perfect. And it's just like, I think for me, it's a very dangerous narrative, and I just like try to be stepping away from that and being completely transparent and saying like, I can't do this, like this is too much. And like, people respect that. So I think transparency and honesty about you, the stage of the company, like the possibilities, is super relevant, because people feel like even more safe, even more secure when you are completely honest.
Brilliant. Thank you. Liza, you get to say the last word.
Okay. Well, for everyone who wants to start a company, be true to your mission, be true to yourself. It's not going to be easy. You need to have friends, hire fast and fire fast too. Share your mission with all the world so you can grow a huge team, a huge family that can help you to take this mission to reality. Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Very brilliantly said, very pragmatic. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Brilliant, ladies. I believe you guys are really awesome entrepreneurs, and you're building fabulous businesses and great teams. I love how much you love your teams and how passionate you are. I'm taking away a lot. I learned a lot during this conversation. I hope people who are watching the webinar and who do it later, they do so as well. Wishing you good luck in the initiative and at the ceremony, and have lots of fun. This is a great tribe. And thank you everyone who joined us today. I really enjoyed this conversation.